Brace yourselves, folks, because this might have been the best transfer window of this series so far. We're going to win the league this year. Man United don't play in it, but we'll finish second. Hello and welcome to Club 6, Part 10 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're going to have a look through all of our summer comings and goings. There are more of them than you would expect. Actually, you probably would expect a lot, but there's been more than I expected. And we're also going to play our first game of the new season away against Bournemouth. Firstly, though, look at this. We've gone from being, I know it happens most summers. We go from minus 50 or 60 million up into the black, but we've gone way into the black. This is the most money this football club has had in the bank for like 5 years. £75 million in the bank. I wonder if that means they'll finally let me do a coaching course, because I'm sat here, manager of Arsenal, on a Continental B licence, because Arsenal never have any money to send me, Leicester never had any money, Portsmouth never had any money. Most of my qualifications have been paid for by Oxford, which is ridiculous, really. Oxford could put me on courses, Arsenal can't, but no, because I asked to recently, clearly. By the time I'm allowed to ask again, I imagine there'll be no money left, because the projection is still, actually, not disastrous. That might be the healthiest looking finances of a football club I've ever been at. Let's have a look at the transfers to see how we got ourselves into this position. I know you can see lots of ins. We're going to start looking at the outs, though. And I've had a bit of a clear out. I think we had far too many old, bit rubbish central midfielders at the club. So we've cut our losses on some of these. Adrian Rabiot. I know the club signed him for £38 million last summer. He was never going to be a regular for me. And when Liverpool offered £17.5 million for a 32-year-old reserve, yes, it's a £21 million loss for the club, but to me, that's £17.5 million we didn't have before. So we bit their arm off. Marko Grujic, I actually had to look up to see what position he played in. I don't think I used him at any point. So again, he's been at Arsenal for a long time, but £12 million for a 31-year-old reserve. Bye-bye now. Sperduti is another one. He played sporadically for us down that left-hand side, but he was only ever our third choice left winger. So £10.5 million for a reserve. Bye-bye, Roger. Wayne Brown, again, had to look him up. Didn't know who he was. He's a 23-year-old English striker. Now, I know what you're thinking. He's a homegrown Arsenal lad. We should give him a chance. We did that with Merson and Hutchings and Junior David last year. None of them were playing regularly before I arrived. I'm going to show you Junior David in a minute, because I didn't realise just how few games he'd played when I arrived at the club. It explains why there were so many central midfielders here. But £6 million for him, when we've got another youngster who we've recalled from loan, who I'll show you in a sec as well. It just made sense to let him go. Rory Young. I don't know how you would say his name. He was signed last summer from Celtic. He wasn't even in my squad. He wasn't in the squad when I arrived, and he wasn't in the squad that I picked in January. So we've doubled our money on him after him playing one game, which I can live with that. And then lastly, Nicholas Stark, because he's a 32-year-old reserve. He was our fourth choice centre-back. Hamburg offered £7.5 million. Again, would have been silly to say no. So what we've done is we've cleared out a lot of the old men, a lot of the reserves that we were never going to use, and brought in £61 million. Add that onto the £60 million transfer budget we already had, and I know the club have only been given us 25% of retained transfer revenue, which is why there's so much money in the bank now, because we've brought in £60 million and they've only added another like 20 million to my wage budget, to my transfer budget. But it's allowed us to do a little bit more in the transfer market than I thought I would. So, the big first signing, and I think we've got an absolute superstar here, plus he's British so that he counts towards our homegrown players, I think. Yes, because he came through the Brighton youth system. There was logic to it. But for £45 million, we've signed 25-year-old Jordan Davidson, who's a Scottish international, 4-star current ability. He comes in as our best central midfield player, and more importantly, he's a natural box-to-box midfielder, so I can do my preferred combination of box-to-box and deep-lying playmaker in midfield. This lad looks like he's going to be an absolute superstar, and I did just want to show you Junior David as well, because I didn't realise, look, before I arrived, he'd only played 6 games for Arsenal. He was almost ever present for me. I don't know why he wasn't playing before, but he's now an England international. He's still only 22, and he came through our youth system. So we've got a few who are our own homegrown players as well. We also brought in a new goalkeeper, Tim Weiss is a 24-year-old German, 3.5-star current ability with 4-star potential, better than Jack Butland. We have spent the summer trying to bin off Jack Butland, who's 34 now, but nobody wants him, although there is someone wanting him now, but it's a bit late because we've let our other keeper go out on loan. Matias Quevedo, though, is an Argentinian under-20 international, who I think he's a perfectly adequate backup. If we can get someone to give us any money for Butland, it'll get his £130,000 wages off the budget. And I mean, if we can get £10 million from him as well, it gives us a little bit of something to play with in January. But Tim Weiss, I think, top goalkeeper. And you may know from back in the borough that goalkeepers can be hard to find. So I had a choice between 22 million for him plus getting Davidson, or 60 million pounds for a 28-year-old Donnarumma, who's still at AC Milan, incidentally. And I went for that combination because I think that makes more sense. Then we got a Japanese 19-year-old winger. This was my director of football brought this lad in. Kensuke Oki. He's already played 15 times for Japan with 6 goals. He's got a lot of potential, 4.5-star potential. Shirt sales in his future is what I'm thinking. I didn't sign him though, but he's gone straight out on loan to Rennes, and we'll see how he is next season. Looks like he's got potential though, which is always nice. Angel Correa. I don't remember signing him, but he just turned up on the 1st of January. On the 1st of July, sorry. He's been at Atletico and Bayern Munich previously. I guess I did do a pre-agreement with him back in January. I don't remember doing it. Did I mention it at the time? But he's got a 3-star current ability. He's going to offer some competition to Tommy Merson as our attacking midfielder. And I think we've made Merson our vice-captain. We've given him a longer contract. I think we're going to show a lot of faith in Tommy Merson this year. So Correa as a backup to Merson, I think is fine. So we haven't gone out and bought the world-class attacking midfielder that I talked about wanting. Grant King is another one my director of football's done and isn't just a mistake. Ex-Tottenham and Ipswich youth player, never played for anybody, 1-star current ability, 2-star potential. He'll be gone next summer. John Gamendia is a 23-year-old Spanish attacking midfielder, 2-star current ability, and I've signed him for his 3.5-star potential. He's someone I actually tried to buy back in January, but Athletic Bilbao weren't interested in selling him. He's never really played any kind of games at the top level, despite having a lot of potential. He's never really fulfilled any of it. He's probably going to go out on loan. No one's asked for him yet, but he was cheap. He was on a free. And then the reason we let Stark go is because after we sold all these players, we had a little bit of money to spend. So I went and invested in a young up-and-coming centre-back to offer us some extra competition for places back there. 24-year-old Argentinian international, Vitali. 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He comes in from Schalke. Now, I think for a net transfer spend of 21 million quid and adding like an extra 40 or 50 million pound to the club coffers compared to where they'd normally be, plus reducing the wage bill, double thumbs up for Kev Summer. Let's hope it's turned into a decent looking team. Let me know down in the comments if there's any areas I should have strengthened that I haven't, but I think that as a first 11 and that as a bench looks a bit special. This is that young striker I was talking about as well. 19-year-old English under-21 international, 2.5-star current ability, so almost as good as Jack Hutchings already, with 4-star potential, valued at 15.5 million quid. We did send him out on, he was out on loan with West Brom in the Premier League last season. Went out on loan this summer to Stoke, played one game last weekend, scored and was brilliant, and immediately my assistant manager said, recall him, get him in the squad. And it was at that point I had a proper look at him and thought, you know what? We shouldn't have let him go in the first place. I'm glad we've still got time to recall. So he's going to be well in the mix for, especially if Dolberg and Pinga are as injury prone as they were last year, to offer some competition for Hutchings when those two are inevitably out injured. So we're going into the first game of the season away against Bournemouth. We're just going to do standard, flexible, no instructions. Just feel the game out as we go, like we've done so many times before. And these are the players who are going to do exactly that. We've got Weiss in goal, a back four of Tabarez, Felipe, Alex and Suma, with Leshy and New Boy Davidson in midfield. And then Dolberg, Merson and DVD in behind Pingu. It looks like such an incredibly strong team. Man United have lost to Southampton on the first day as well. If we're as good as I think we should be now, this is going to be a bit of a special season. I am a little bit concerned that, we've put, on the advice of the comments I might add, I've put a lot of faith in Tommy Merson, because ever since I arrived at Arsenal, I've identified that as the big area that I wanted to go and strengthen. But he did have a fantastic last 6 months of the season, but it was sort of make or break time for him at Arsenal, and he made. And we've shown an awful lot of faith in him this summer, and I hope he repays it. If he turns out to be a bit of a dud, a bit of a one-season wonder, and the old man we've brought in, Correa, if he ends up not being any good, then we've potentially got a gap in a crucial area of the pitch again, which we don't have the money to rectify until next summer now. So I think that's going to be the key. Tommy Merson is going to be absolutely crucial to how we get on this season. So fingers crossed he A, doesn't get injured, and B, carries on with the form that he was showing for those last 6 months of last season, when by and large he was our big game player, he was our star, he was the one who was getting things done. Right, I would like a goal now. We've had 20 minutes to get used to playing together, the new lads who are here. It's time to go and grab a goal. I'm not interested in any short passing play at the moment. I just want to get further forward. So if you could sit down and shut up, please, Mr. Assistant Manager, whose name I haven't even bothered to learn. I would just like us to get a hold of this game a little bit. I think half time, if it stays 0-0, we're going to come out with a control mentality, maybe fluid things up a little bit, do a bit of roaming from positions, be more expressive. I think looking at our team now, we should just have 11 better players than what Bournemouth have. So in the interests of just trying to outplay them, let's tell the players to just do their thing a little bit and do what comes naturally. So there you go. Play Arsenal football. Remember, good Arsenal, not current Arsenal. That's what we're looking for. Arsenal when they were good. Bergkamp and Henry, that Arsenal. The one where they just looked a little bit special all the time. We want this team to look a little bit special. And I think we've got the players to do it. They just need to believe they can do it. And hopefully, having a proper box-to-box midfielder in there is going to give us the engine as well. And we've given away a penalty. And DVD's been sent off. What was he even doing all the way back there anyway? He has absolutely no business being back where he was. Right. We're going to stick Dolberg up front with Pingu, and we're just going to do a 4-2-1-2. I wasn't expecting to have to mess around with this on the first day of the season. We'll do that. I hope they miss. This is a big test for Vice. Is he gonna save a penalty and make himself a hero from day one? He does. Oh, but the rebound was scored. Well, he saved the penalty. That was good. And blame the defenders for not reacting. If we lose to Bournemouth on the first day, after how excited I've been this episode, you know this is how it is. When I'm excited for a transfer window, it always ends up to have gone a little bit rubbish. But please don't be a little bit rubbish this time. I want to be any good. Let's make some... I don't know what to do. Let's make some substitutions. None of the attack are playing well at all. I'm going to go to wide. I'm just going to keep Pingu on, and I'll probably take off Merson and Dolberg, I think. Bring on Roberts and Salcedo. And do this. Just make them both inside forwards. Why not? It's the worst that could happen. And leave that there for a minute. We need to go attacking. We need to get the ball forward. DVD sending off has left us in the lurch. I mean, I know I told you to sit down and shut up, Mr. Assistant Manager, but that was quite astute of you. He has made a bit of a boo-boo there. I don't even know why he was back in our area. There was no reason for him to be back there. Right, Pingu. This is a big call. Ben Willis, come on and make your debut. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, you're going to be a complete... We're not having a poacher up front. You're going to be a complete forward and you're going to like it. Right. Let's see if Ben Willis is going to make himself a new hero. This has been a little disappointing. We haven't even really looked like doing anything going forward. Here is Salcedo though, in behind. Back to Davidson. Oh, I like the fact that he was there as a box-to-box midfielder. He'd made a good run. Should have done better with a finish though. For £45 million, you expect him to at least test the keeper in that situation. If they score again here, I'm going to have a little bit of sick in my mouth. Right, Roberts has got 10 seconds and it's with Willis. It's the first time we've seen him on the ball and he gets tackled, and I think that's probably going to be that. Well, we're not going to have an invincible season, are we? It's not going to be quite back to that version of Arsenal. Although, Tabarez forces a save out of their keeper. Penalty, anyone? No? No? Brilliant. Oh, that wasn't the way it was scripted. Can we have a do-over? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.